All right, guys, it is another. Well, it's been a while, but it's a comic creator chat with CBSI. Pete and I are here. We have got some awesome guests. We're so excited. I was stoked the second I got told, "Hey, yeah, we'll get you a chance to talk to Marc Silvestri and Matt Hawkins." I mean, if you don't know these guys' names, I'm sorry,
Good for
you're
you.
not a comic book fan. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell
Comic
you either.
books from the 90s and 80s, and then still because of Top Cow, because these are the guys who run Top Cow. Marc is the guy who started Top Cow, which is part of Image and all of that. And we're going to get into all that. But Marc, Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's like I'm giddy just thinking about talking to you guys. I mean, I'm a fanboy. I mean, Marc, I have to say your Wolverine run was like what got me just loving comics back then.
Thank
You.
All good memories. I appreciate that. All good memories. I saw Larry Hama at one of the Comic Cons some time ago, and I'm the most intimidating guy I've ever known in my life in this field, but just an amazing dude to work with, and all good memories. That Wolverine stuff, X-Men stuff, all good times. Thank you.
Yeah, it was, and Matt, it was one of those. I started reading, and I was like, "Crap! I've read Think Tank. I've read Postal." I was like, "I didn't." It's one of those. A lot of times, because as a writer, sometimes people dwell on the writer, sometimes they dwell on the artist, depending on what you guys do. But I was like, "Crap! I really did like Think Tank," and that as a speculator, both Pete and I go, "Think Tank at one time was almost optioned. Postal was optioned. Like, where is that? Like, so
they were both. They both been optioned and unoptioned. Those things happen, you know.
Never know. Yeah, you never know.
Think is still in play though. We have a new script for it, so hopefully we might see some action on the TV front. Probably after the first of the year, we'll have a better indication.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really. Nice. I mean, Pete and I have definitely learned that. Like, it's from talking. Like, 1 second it's optioned, 1 second it's not. It's been optioned for 10 years. It's been. I think who was I talking to? Rob Williams. He was talking about the guy who wrote a History of Violence, and he was like, he was so disappointed when the movie actually got made because then he quit getting the option checks.
Yeah, but, I mean, you just never know. Hollywood's such a strange beast, you know. It's like we've obviously had some success there. You know, we've been on television, we've had some movies made, video games too, and I'll tell you guys, and you know, Matt knows this because we talk about this a lot. And and you guys are creators, yes? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Creative.
Creative, yes.
But creative. You know, for any creators that are watching out here, I'll tell you this: it's like the other media obviously is great, and you know that's something that didn't exist for us as comic book people just 20 years ago. You know, less than that, 15 years ago, really. But you know, we've had our toes dipped in all of it, all right. And I gotta say that for sheer creative freedom, nothing beats comic books. Nothing beats comic books. So it's a great place to start. And hey, if something bigger happens, that's awesome, you know. But nobody can tell you no. You're not dealing with millions and millions of dollars and you know dozens of executives with all their jobs on the line if it doesn't go right. You know, it's like, hey, I want to make a comic book. A few months later, you got a comic book. You know, that's the end of the way you want it.
For better or for worse, always. I think that's what I always say is those books are exactly the way I intended them to come out. Sometimes I have regrets, and sometimes I don't.
Nobody else.
You're only limited by your imagination, right? So you can do whatever you like in a comic.
You can't blame producers. You can't blame the studio. You can't blame the director. It's like, oops, my bad.
Well, and you're right. Like so much of today with Kickstarters, but I mean, back in the day, it was indie, and you had to publish it yourself, and you had to go to every freaking con on the face of the planet to get people interested. But now you can do Indigo or Kickstarter and have a good Instagram account, and I mean, you can get your message out there to so many people, and that's part of the reason we're here is to talk about your Kickstarter that you guys got coming. And I'm going to throw up here a slideshow, and we're just going to talk about Cyberforce, one of the original Image comics.
30 years.
30 years.
It blows my mind to think, because I'm like, crap. I mean, I know you guys are going, crap, I'm that old. He's not going.
Me too.
I remember getting that, or I'll buying that off the rack.
I do.
Yeah, don't say you were 5, or we're done here.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I started when I was like 3, so I'm okay. Yeah,
well, I mean, as my wife says, once you hit 30, you're always 30. I think a guy can get away from once you're 50, you're always 50.
Yeah, that changes when you hit 60. So it's all over.
I'm always 50 for now. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. No, 30 years, guys, and thanks for having us to celebrate, help celebrate Cyberforce 30 years. The book that Marvel turned down, and it's like started Image Comics with it with my partners. So yeah. And first of all, I want to thank everyone for their support.
Pitch anything new.
Sorry.
It was probably hard just to go to Marvel and pitch anything new because, I mean, at the same time they did slapstick. I mean, they did some ridiculous things in the 90s, but to go in with a new team, I mean, I don't know. I was when I look at you created 8 new characters for issue 1.
I'd probably at least. I think you kind of lose track, but because there was characters and big pictures flying everywhere in the 90s. It's like, wow, how many people can we fit on this double page spread? It's true though. I mean, they had their way of doing things, which is their right. Marvel and DC, that's their, they have their company, they have their policies, they have the way they want to do things. And we were essentially, employees is not the correct term. We were freelancers, but we couldn't dictate to them how to run their company. So that's how Image was born. It's like. That's why we went. It's like we want to do our own stuff. We want to have this many people on a double page spread doing this. The characters that we own, that we've created. So it was a big deal for us.
And there's so many things from the 90s. I remember, being part of it when I was just starting out in my career and the computer coloring, the higher end paper quality. I mean, there were so many things that these guys did when they launched Image Comics, which really sort of set the standard that we follow today. I mean, when you go and pick up a Marvel or DC book today, whoever reads that and enjoys it should thank these guys because they're the ones that sort of created this computer coloring and this more sophisticated lettering. I mean, the production values have been dramatically increased because of Image Comics, and that's Marvel and DC followed suit. They were not the pioneers, and I'm not. I was just a young guy along for the ride, happy to be there. But those guys, they changed everything, and I don't want people to forget that.
And I appreciate it. Yeah, they were pretty pissed at us. Because everything got more expensive for them. It's like they had to up the paper. They had to up the game in all the production values, which is something that we could do because we could back then. Marvel and DC didn't do it because they didn't have to. Because nobody cared, right? And then suddenly the game changed and they had to keep up. Those are interesting times. Again, 30 years ago, it's hard to believe.
That is hard to believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
look at that big stuff with a double page spread. Look at all the color. Oh my God. I still sort of remember drawing this stuff.
We got these images from your Kickstarter, and did you all? I mean, the colors are awesome. Like I love the drawing, I love it all. But like thinking through, like when I pull up these images, I'm like, I can't wait to see what this looks like in a hardcore graphic novel, hardcover, and like. Because like when I pull up my Cyberforce issue #1 or whatever, I'm like, oh, shoot, it's starting to fade. It's not quite as good. I mean, but like this, like what's the quality with just the overall graphic novel? Like what are you guys putting into that?
It's actually a lot of work. Vince Longo, who is our production guy, who's putting all this together physically. What we discussed, it's like we give him a hard time all the time because of how much work he's got to do right now. But a lot of the original files from back in the day disintegrated. They got corrupted. They disappeared. And we found out we didn't have a lot of it. So he's had to go around, find as much as he possibly could to scan and retool it so that it looks, I think, even better than the original version.
I think it looks better.
Yeah, I think it does look better. It's like you can see it right there. That's not from the original files. That's him remastering it essentially and making it even better. We didn't know that back in the day, with all those old systems that we used, because again, like computer coloring and all that in-house, especially, was all brand new. No one really knew that, if you put it on this particular thing, it's going to last forever. No, it's not like a vinyl record. This stuff just suddenly disappears, and we found that to be the case. So, sorry, Vince, but he's doing an amazing job, and I think people are really going to appreciate it.
And when you have all these files saved on 1,200 different formats, over 30 years, it's sometimes difficult to keep them updated and so on. One other thing I want to point out specifically on that double-page spread you have shown up there is another thing that I think Image kind of pioneered is, do you see how there's a color gradient on the sound effect? You go back into the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, oh wow! Like some of the you're bringing up details. I'm like, man, I gotta rethink how I look at these images just because of.
It's commonplace now.
Yeah.
But back then it wasn't. And one of the things, like Brian Haberlin was our guy in-house that set up all the computer stuff. He set up all the whole coloring department. And I remember having conversations with him early in the day, right? Because people didn't use computers, unless it was for other things, right? But certainly not in comics, and the graphic arts was very specific to people that use computers. They were doing computer stuff, right? They weren't doing art per se. So we kind of came up to this thing where we had some people come in. It's like, okay, that's fine, but it doesn't really look like much, right? And we finally came up with the idea, like, I think I brought it up to Brian and said, hey, this computer thing, which I knew nothing about, I still know nothing about, as I had trouble getting in here tonight, but it was like, this is just a tool. This is a different paintbrush, right? Why don't we go to the local colleges, wherever we can find them, and get artists and just teach them how to use this new tool, rather than teaching people that were computer literate how to become artists. It was much easier and made more sense to teach artists how to become computer literate.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where things changed, because that's where like Steve Frickow came in. It's like suddenly you had these pages that were painted, and it just looks spectacular, right? And so we always had that mindset ever since. It's like, find these artists and teach them to use this new kind of brush.
I'm throwing up here, this is straight off your Kickstarter, the list of artists that contributed to Cyberforce.
Look at that. That's how impressive is that list? Look at that. There's a guy, I don't does anyone know the name Jim Lee?
Who is that?
Todd McFarlane.
He has something to do with Sesame Street, I heard.
Something to do.
I don't know, something coming up.
Look at that. You got Jim Lee, you got Todd McFarlane, you got Walt Simonson, which for me, guys, was the fanboy moment of my career. When Image started, things were going crazy, right? It was insane, right? It's like, what the hell? Can we do this? Sure, we can do this. Why not? I gave Walt a call, who I'd known at the through the convention circuit. I said, hey, Walt. I'm like shaking on the phone. And it's like, hey, how would you like to do like a Cyberforce Zero issue? And he said, yes. And I went, what? Walt Simonson is not only writing, but he's going to draw a Cyberforce Zero. And it's like, that was my fanboy moment of my entire career, which is since 1981. And to this day, that's like a moment I'll never forget. You've got Dave Finch. Come on. He still did my favorite version of Ripclaw ever. Which I give him shit about because it's better than mine. You got Scott Williams, and there's Brian right there. Look at this name, Joe Benitez. We know that guy. Look at this guy, Michael Turner. Yeah, we know that guy too, right? Like, look at this. These guys are all in there in this giant 664-page brick of a book, right? And it's just amazing, right? Look at that. You can kill somebody with that thing.
No, please don't.
But it's when you look through there, and I tell people this, and I think it's actually mentioned on the Kickstarter, that it's just a real throwback and a real fun trip back to what the 90s was about, right? And it's like, if people don't remember the 90s or are too young for the 90s and they want to see what the big deal was, what was all the fuss, like, get this. It's all right there. It's like, it's a time capsule, right? And I was looking through there. I hadn't looked through there in years and going, wow, this stuff was just fun.
Yeah, very kinetic, very frenetic, like just felt like it was alive.
Yeah, you could tell that everyone working on these books was having a great time, right?
Yeah.
Because we were all fans, right, of comics. And suddenly we were fans that could do whatever we wanted to. And I think that shows in all the stuff that we did. And this is an opportunity through this Kickstarter for people that either A, want to hop back in the DeLorean and go back in time, that were there and they want to remember those fun days, or the people that had never seen that before. It's all right here in one big package. Plus, you get a lot of cool stuff too that we can talk about.
One major thing to know about this is we have not actually reprinted any of this since 1994. I mean, this has never been reprinted, some of this stuff. So this is the first time that you'll have the opportunity to buy and read any of this stuff if you didn't buy it when it came out.
Yeah, so all your faded Cyberforce books, you can get a nice, fresh, clean copy of right now.
Yeah, that was the one thing when I found out we were doing interviews. So I was like, I got to go back and reread Cyberforce. And try the freaking. I had like issue 1, but like I don't have every issue. I probably sometime have had it, but trying to find
a copy.
What the
hell? Jeez.
A disorganized one. They're here.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, yeah. I don't want to show you the rest of this office I'm in of all the where the books are, but like there isn't. You're right. There's like you can find bootlegs online, but you can't find there's like 2 trade paperbacks out there, and they're just outdated and faded.
Yeah, we did Assault with a Deadly Woman and 10 Men of War were the 2 trades that were published, and they were published. The first one was in 93, the other one was 94, and that is the last time any of it was ever reprinted.
So literally almost 3 decades
that
they have not been reprinted. And here, this is it for the first time for the 30th anniversary. And we've had amazing support from people, and thank you everyone, honestly. Not only for Top Cow and the normal way that we publish books but for the amazing support we've had through our Kickstarter campaigns, and which allowed us to do this, right? And it's like we can, it's cool because when we do something on Kickstarter, right, and do the crowdfunding, it almost feels like everyone's on the same team, right? It's like, oh, let's put on a show, right? And it's like everyone can be part of it to make it happen. And the stuff that we add in there, the extra covers, the cool tiers and extra things that we can go into as we talk about this. It's all part of the fun, right? You get these exclusive things. I'm part of this club. Oh, there's my ripoff. I mean, my homage of my original cover, colored by Brian Valenza, who did an amazing job on that.
Yeah,
he hooked me up on that.
I will have to say, I think I might like this better than the original.
You can say that.
You can't rip off yourself.
Yeah, you can. when you're fresh out of ideas, come on.
It's not a rip off. You're just paying tribute to yourself.
I was homaging, right?
You're homaging yourself, yeah.
It was actually
mastering it.
Yeah, it was.
I don't see that down at the bottom of the signature. Aren't you supposed to say Silvestri after Silvestri?
I did that before when it was funny because I don't know if you saw the Witchblade one that I did.
The Witchblade 140 cover?
Yeah, where she's on the big W.
The W, yeah.
An homage to my my Wolverine on the cross, right?
Yeah.
And I got so many people on social media saying, "You ripped that guy off." It's like, that guy was me. And I actually had it on there, like Marc Silvestri after me. It's like people still didn't quite get the connection.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, social media, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
But it was fun to do because revisiting these characters in their original form. And just my drawing style has changed over the years. Hopefully I got better in certain ways. But it was just fun. To revisit that stuff because I hadn't looked at it. I'd done a deep dive in years, and just wow, it's just fun stuff. And I hope people that pick it up now and again get that little flashback, that great sense of nostalgia, or something brand new to them, get that same feeling. Stuff was just leaping off the page. So, yeah. And there's Stepan Sajic's cover, which is awesome.
Say that name again. I read that name all the time because of Top Cow. But
Matt, how do you pronounce it absolutely correctly? You would know more than
you want me to do it correctly? It's Stepan Sej.
So I say it wrong too?
It's he says, act like you're a drunk Sean Connery and say it fast.
Like the Jeopardy one.
But when he comes here, he introduces himself as Steven Sejic. So he says to people, "I'm Steven Sejic." So if you meet him here, that's who he says he is. But and by the way, he'll make fun of my name, my pronunciation of his name, even though that's closer than I've heard most other people's.
It's like people saying Van Gogh.
Yeah,
it's like okay, it's Van Gogh. Come on. Well, that's his cover right there. Anyway, and we have a Brett Booth cover, right, which is a wrap.
Yeah, we have Brett Booth ×2.
Yeah, which is also just amazing. And there's a whole, if people don't, this is
Priscilla Petrades.
Yeah,
So
and that's a great cover.
So
too,
I will
right?
have to say, I checked this out today. If you guys check out the Kickstarter, which is live, and we'll have the link in the article, and we'll have it in the when the YouTube goes later on. We'll have the actual link to the Kickstarter. But guys, this came out. You started this on Thursday, and you're already at 110.
Yeah.
You've already passed 30,000 was your goal. You've already at 110,000. So these stretch goals are click, 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 click. I mean, I'm impressed with some of these covers you have coming. I'm so excited about, like this one, 75K. Here's your Brett Booth.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
There's the wraparound Brett. Yeah, that's a great cover.
Wraparound Brett Booth right there. Yeah, we've been really fortunate, and again, thank you to all the fans who've been supporting us. We really appreciate it, and seeing those numbers skyrocket so quickly it's a terrific thing for us. And we've got more stuff coming, we still got stuff to unlock. Yeah, Matt.
There's still some tiers to unlock, and no, the commemorative edition has multiple covers. The Kickstarter dust jacket for the Cyberforce will be pretty low quantity. I know you guys are looking for stuff that might be investment opportunities. I would say that is a long-term surety, because the regular direct market dust jacket, and then eventually we'll go to the soft cover that'll become sort of the perennial. Those will have different covers. So when you buy the Kickstarter, or you pledge the Kickstarter and you get that cover, that will be a fixed print run that will never change.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's special, just for all you guys.
That is awesome. Now I saw an image, Mark, of you signing. Have you already signed all these books, or is this for I saw Cyberforce 2?
No, that was for Darkness.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for the Darkness Kickstarter. Because one thing that we, and again, this is a deal between professionals / publishers and fans, right? We're all in this together, right? You buy stuff, we can make stuff. We make stuff, and you buy the stuff, right? So we've had a really good rapport with our fans, with our Kickstarters. All of them have been very successful. Our customer service, we're very, very proud of, and we make sure that people get the product and it's not damaged. It's triple boxed and all of it. It's just terrific. And
thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Elena. Thank you, Vince. Elena's been doing an amazing job on this latest Kickstarter. And it's a lot of work for people to do. The picture there he is. Okay. The picture that you saw was me signing Darkness, the second Darkness Kickstarter, second volume, with me just doing my quick signature in there. I think we got through a lot of books that day.
A third of them. My claim to fame that day was I took that picture. So.
There you go. I think it actually he helped pack. Yeah, he helped pack the back and the box.
Yeah, it was unboxing and handing books. We do it it's a team effort.
Yeah. Nice little assembly line going. And I think these ones will be signed as well. And I think one of the goals is I'm doing remarks, which is something that people have really responded to, that I've been doing for the past few Kickstarters that we do, which is fun. I do a little drawing in there of whatever character, and I'll be doing that for the Cyberforce one as well, for people that want to do that.
I will say, guys, they're already sold out.
Yeah, I was looking. I think they are sold out already. Yeah.
Oh, damn! How many was that?
Yeah, the remarks are sold out. So we might add. We have in the past added some, but
pull me to work.
Because I think I saw it was you get one Cyberforce character and those are all gone, and then you get two Cyberforce characters, and those are all gone too.
Really? Wow. Okay, that was quick. I didn't even see that. Okay.
Well, I was so bummed. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! Oh, they're already gone. I don't even get the waiver on. Do I want it or do I not? There's no choice. I don't get it.
No choice now. See, snooze and you lose.
That's
we might have to add some more on there, depending. How many was that, Matt? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
Let me look. I think it was 10 or 15 total. Let me look. There was.
Had to be more than that.
No, we would do them in 5.
Oh, you do it in batches.
Yeah. So there's 5.
Well, keep checking up on this stuff. Maybe there'll be more in there for all you people out there who want one of those.
Oh, things. Mark, no, you've already committed to doing, and we've sold 25.
25. Okay. All right.
So
we may up that so if people want it, and that's why we're here. We're here for the kids. Yeah, that's our motto. It's on the wall. It's here for the kids. Yeah.
That's already a lot, though. So that's more than I thought we had. So we may not up that. So
we'll
hold
see.
on to that pier if you got it.
Yeah, it's valuable.
That's awesome.
But it's been fun, and
Yeah.
These Kickstarters have been really, really, I think, helpful for a lot of people. And it's a way for fans to kind of get what they want, in a way that maybe certain things couldn't be done without their help. So I think that's just it's a win-win all around for everybody.
And a lot of the extra merchandise that we do for this, the T-shirts, the tote bags, the coasters, all that kind of stuff. Honestly, a lot of that we're doing because we think it's fun. I mean, we want it ourselves. I want, that little darkness ornament on my Christmas tree and these kind of things. Oops, I may have given one away from a future one. But these are kind of things that are really cool that we want. And like the Darkness guitar picks that just came out from the Darkness 2, those are so cool.
They're actually very cool. I don't play guitar, but they look really cool.
I don't know whose idea that was, but we have the Darkness guitar picks now, and I think that's cool. So
I think it was Elena or something.
Probably. She has all the good merch ideas.
Yeah.
Well, I know Pete and I have seen this. What's become popular with exclusives from stores and Kickstarters is coins. Like
yeah.
And I'm like, what? People, and I'm like, wait, I got like 6 of them right here in my drawers. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but I got a Nottingham one. I got this one.
Right. There is a challenge coin involved in the Cyberforce Kickstarter. I will say that, and that was Lisa's idea, and that we tagged in on that. So,
but we haven't revealed what it is yet, right?
Did I just reveal a secret? I may have. Hold on.
It had not made the list that I saw at 9:00 this morning.
Why? You must have an exclusive. Well, we didn't say what it is, though, right?
Not bad. I may have leaked an item, but since you brought up the coins, I just wanted to say, and since Lisa was on earlier, that there will be a Cyberforce challenge coin.
Yeah, we just won't tell you what it looks like. There you go. There's the mystery right there.
It's Stryker. We all know that.
No, it's Wolverine. Marvel, screw you.
But
it actually has just claw marks across it, and you can assume it's Ripclaw or Wolverine.
Hey, people have done worse, right? The 90s were something else. They really were. I think on both the creative end and the fan end, that was a decade that I don't actually think is going to be repeated. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
There was just too many things that lined up. The stars just lined up perfectly for that moment in that time. An image. Us original 7 guys, we were just in the right place at the right time, made the right decision. And, it's for like Matt mentioned earlier, for better or for worse, we had a lot to do with the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on the better, Look, we did some goofy stuff, and all of us are the first to admit it, but we also did some stuff that I think really resonated back then and still resonates today. And had a profound effect on both the professional community and the fan community, and pop culture at large, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't mean to speak that big, but I don't think it's a stretch that the 90s comic book boom had a lot to do with today's pop culture. And obviously the creator-owned aspect of it, I think, had a lot to do with that as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say the other interesting thing that I thought about, I've been thinking about this in vis-a-vis the 30th anniversary, is if you look at the formation of Image Comics, it actually happened pre-internet and pre-cell phone. We had those things, they existed, but they weren't norms like they are now. And because I go back and I think about, some of the media, SideQuest discs and things that we used to store some of this stuff on. And it really is kind of a fascinating journey, because I remember, at Top Cow, you guys had those AOL addresses early on, right? I remember one of the first people I ever saw when I was working with Rob Liefeld is Top Cow had these AOL email addresses, and I thought they were so cool.
Top Cow, it's like people had to tell me, hey, we should get emails. I said, what the hell do we need email for? Your office is right down the hall.
Right.
It's like, I didn't get it, right? It's and I remember in the early Image meetings, right, because we were all like trying to one-up each other. It didn't even matter who got the best parking space. It didn't matter, right? So I remember back in the day, like Jim Lee sits there and he pulls out his StarTAC flip phone, right, and he puts it on the table. It's like we're all like, oh, Whoa, you've got a cellular telephone? What? And we're all looking at it. And a week later, we all had StarTAC flip phones. And, you had like 5 places that you got reception, but you looked cool. At least you thought you looked cool.
No.
With a stupid phone.
So much change.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all pre-social media, but it's spread like crazy, through old school channels, right?
Yeah. But also, like, seeing how that influence is, now you have small publishers popping up here everywhere because you guys at Image decided to do it. Like, I mean, just recently I heard, I think they call them themselves Artist Elite Comics. And they're like a bunch of artists got together and say, we're going to form our own thing and we're going to do it. And now look at what they're doing. And it looks like, hey, because some of them are some of your artists from Top Cow, and there's some, and they're cover artists from different things. I'm like, okay, Kirkman's going to do this. Ali Garza is going to do it. And all these different people. I'm like, okay, you guys started that where artists and writers said, I want to make something and I want it to be mine and I don't want anyone to influence me. And I think that's to think that for 30 years you've had that type of influence for people.
And I think for the creative community and also for the fan community, because I think, creators kind of, when they get a chance to cut loose on something that they themselves have ownership of, I think the reader benefits, right? So, and you look at like Scott Snyder, who, cut his teeth on Batman really, and now he's got big success with his creator own stuff, right? He's just going to kind of blow up from there. Ask Mark Miller, about creator own stuff. What about that Kirkman guy, with Walking Dead, So it's the dream has become reality, and that dream is available to anyone, quite frankly, because all you got to do. And Todd used to say this, and he still does when at conventions and such like that, at panels when people ask about, how do you make that leap? How do you become that entrepreneur? And Todd's basic answer is, look, I hear so many times that people are afraid to like spend the money and do this, like, but they love it. It's like, no, you don't. If you're not willing to take 1 or 2 of your paychecks, right, maybe 3 of your paychecks, and invest it into something that you claim to love. If you're not willing to do that, you don't love it. It's like you don't love it enough. That's all it's going to take you to make a comic book these days. And at least get something printed and published and show it around at the conventions. If you love it that much, if you want to do it that much, that's your biggest investment. Really, it costs you more to put a down payment on a car. And this is a career you're talking about, and this is an opportunity that you have now. Back in the day when we started with Image, that wasn't available. You had a few indie publishers out there, but unless you were already kind of an established creator, they weren't going to look at you anyway, right? And you weren't going to get noticed in all the noise of Marvel and DC. What do you mean it's not Batman? I don't care. What do you mean it's not X-Men? I don't care. But now people care, which is great. I think that's our best legacy, really. Back from them.
Well, in terms of like you talk about Kickstarters and we're talking to circle it back around to what we're talking about, the one thing I've always really liked about Kickstarters and things like Patreons and Substack and all these sort of things is I love that in comics as creators, we're able to meet the fans and the people who read these books. The convention experience is somewhat unique. I mean, there are TV actors and people that do conventions, but it's not the same as going up and looking at an artist to a sketch for you or talking to a writer of your favorite comic for 20 minutes. It's just, I don't think there's anything like that experience. And so many of these fans, they feel like they get more of an experience through a Kickstarter. That's the number one thing I get from talking to some of our harder cores that pledge every single one of these is like what Mark was saying earlier. They feel like they're a part of it. It's not like we're saying, hey, pledge our Kickstarter so we can publish. That's never been our message. This is an alternative distribution platform for us that we offer exclusive content. And, Kickstarter's been very good to us, and almost every one of our campaigns they've made into a campaign we love. And we've had really, really good luck working with them and growing with BackerKit and some of these people. It's been an amazing journey, and I think at the center of that has always been Mark's desire to include the fan in the experience, and Elena, who's just so great at, sort of celebrating that experience as kind of a fan. Because she's our editor-in-chief and like the core and the heart of Top Cow at some point, but she has really good creative ideas for stuff like that.
Oh yeah, this is her campaign, and she's the leader of it. And as you noted earlier, with the numbers that we're pushing, she's doing a pretty good job. So I really appreciate the hell out of her because it's hard work. It's really hard work.
And guys, if you have not, those watching or those watching later on, if you haven't done a Kickstarter before, it like what Matt's talking about, they drop I know they do it. A lot of good Kickstarters know that dropping little messages as things happen. Hey guys, we hit our goal. This is what we're going to do, and then they go, hey, check out this one, and you feel like you're a part of the community of this Kickstarter, right. And you also can join Facebook groups and they talk about the Kickstarter, or they talk. And like I know there's Cyberforce groups out there and those types of things, or the Darkness or Witchblade, and you become part of that little fandom. And a Kickstarter is a great way to jump into it. I've joined a couple of them, and I love it to where I've talked to, and yes, I have connections because of writing for CBSI, but these guys talk. They do Instagram. Maybe not these guys, but Kickstarter guys want to relate to you, and they want to know what they're doing is appreciated. And the way you tell them that is you buy their Kickstarter, and they're like, and they do it again. I mean, what number is this for you guys? How many Kickstarters is this for you?
This is our 10th.
10th, yeah. So yeah, we're veterans at this. Yeah.
Our first one was Cyberforce 2. So our first and 10th with both Cyberforce.
Yeah, that was the updated Cyberforce that we did years ago. That was the first one that we did. Right?
First one, 2011. Yeah.
That one raised a lot of eyebrows too, because we were kind of the first to do that.
Controversial.
But then people jumped on board. And I remember some of the Kickstarters that followed us were like, look at this, we got even more than Top Cow did. It's like, well, you're very welcome that we opened the door for you. It's like, there you go, you're welcome. But we're happy to see people succeed with crowdfunding, and just like we're happy to see people succeed through traditional channels. We all look. If you've been in this business long enough, you guys have been fans since at least the 90s, right? If not earlier, but so you've seen it. Right, you've seen the roller coaster ride of the world of comic books. You've seen the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, and I've certainly seen it. Matt's seen it from both sides of the aisle, and it's amazing. And it all comes back to the fact that there's just a lot of really awesome people out there that want this stuff, And yeah, sure, they want to see the movies and the TV shows, but they want the books, and some of them want it digitally, which is fine, me personally, I love that feeling of paper in my hands, that's just my thing, it's like the stuff you have behind you there, there's something amazing about a comic book, a physical comic book, so, but we're still here, everyone's still here, and hats off to the fans who supported the publishers, and hats off to the publishers that managed to hang in through the tough times,
All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to throw up another slide just to remind everyone. Guys, Kickstarter, Cyberforce, $50 gets you the hardcover slipcase. No, look at that little thing. Book plate signed by Marc Silvestri. Like they said, this is the first time this set of Cyberforce issues has been reprinted. For a
couple of decades.
Almost 30 years. Almost 30 years.
So excited to get a chance. I'm signing up to buy this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump in, bite the bullet. There's something about these hardcover slipcase books that just look so nice on your shelf, and then the ability to read what you guys chose is these are the 664 pages of Cyberforce we want you to look at. So go to the Kickstarter, check it out. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And as always, guys, hold on a second. We want you to like and subscribe to Peter and I's channel. Please do that. Please, once again, I'm Comic Creator Chat 3CM, and this is Renna Vision. We're on CBSI, and we're comicbookinvest.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Sign up for the Kickstarter.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.